It's time for At Home with the RubberDucks, powered by First Energy. 640 WHLO gets you closer to your hometown team with stories of the game and updates from the season ahead.
Line to left center, that's a base hit and a game winner for the Akron RubberDucks.
Akron RubberDucks baseball, affordable family fun.
High drive to right, that's well hit, back, that ball is gone, it's a home run.
Here's your hosts, Marco LaNave and Jim Clark.
Hello once again, and welcome into At Home with the RubberDucks. Marco LaNave and Jim Clark joining you once again. And first of all, want to wish a happy Mother's Day to everyone, all the moms out there on this Sunday, May 10th. Hopefully you're spending the time with family this weekend. And Jim, how are things going for you?
Going very well, just getting hopefully closer to baseball. We'll find out.
Well, I feel like every day we're just a little bit closer, and I know this week we're very excited to share some background from a couple of players who have come through Akron, and now they're making some impact within the Indians organization in the player development realm.
We have defense and we have offense. I have Johnny McDonald. You have Justin Toole. Johnny, the former shortstop, and boy, he's a wonderful guy to have instructing our young guys defensively throughout the entire organization. And Toole, with us last year in Akron, he's really rising fast in the Indians organization.
Of course, now he's to the big leagues now on the coaching staff as a hitting analyst, so we're looking forward to chatting with him. Do want to cover a couple of notes. One is that the RubberDucks and the Eastern League have announced that games through June 14th, so through the second weekend of June, have been postponed, and we are still awaiting the announcement of a starting date, but hopeful to have baseball still at Canal Park in 2020. Also, there is still an offer for listeners to receive 20% off baseball caps in the RubberDucks team store. You go to akronrubberducks.com and you go into the team shop, and at the end of your checkout order, you can enter the promo code RADIO, and that will give you 20% off baseball caps in the team shop. So let's jump into our conversations for this week, beginning with the former RubberDucks hitting coach, now the Cleveland Indians hitting analyst, Justin Toole. Justin, congratulations again on the new assignment.
Thank you. It's still, I hear that. It still sounds different.
First of all, the last time we saw you, of course, you were the hitting coach for the Akron RubberDucks last season. So how was your off season?
It was good. It was busy. Spent a lot of time working with guys in the off season. We've done a really good job as an organization over the past few years of staying connected with the players as they go home to start their off season work, and work with a few different guys, bringing them in either to Cleveland or to Arizona, just working through some hitting stuff and things like that. So really busy with that stuff. Had time to take a few vacations, get away for a little bit, but was pretty busy preparing for this upcoming season that's been on hold for a little bit.
Keeping in touch with guys over the off season, does it feel similar now in the ways you're keeping in touch?
Yeah, so it's very similar. We've kind of been treating it a little bit like the off season in terms of guys doing their work remotely, obviously checking up on them and making sure that first and foremost, the most important part, making sure that them and their families and everybody are healthy. But it's been a challenge. I think one of the biggest things in this situation is you don't necessarily have a playbook. Nobody really knows how to, navigate these waters. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. I think a credit to the organization and to the players, just how united we've been in terms of connecting, whether it's on Zoom or FaceTime or text or call. The players and the staff as well, everybody's been reaching out, wanting to know what's next and what's going to happen and things like that.
Of course, normally at this time you would be at the ballpark every day, games just about every day. How are you spending this time now? Yeah,
so this is interesting for me. I think I couldn't look back to the last time where April or May or June wasn't at a baseball field every day. So it's definitely different waters for me. Been staying busy, being in communication with the organization and the players. Actually trying to work out and stay fit has probably been something that I've been kind of crazy with. I've went on quite a few runs to try and stay in shape and get my workouts in for the day. I think I'm about close to 120 miles since got back from spring training, but been taking my dog with me. I've discovered that my dog is a runner. She likes to run. She ran 5 miles with me yesterday. So she's actually the one pulling me as she's running along. So just doing everything you can, and also too, like the personal development aspect. I think part of a coach, your responsibility is to continue to learn and continue to dive into new things. So whether it's reading books or listening to podcasts or conversations with other coaches, trying to learn from them, that's been kind of a focus, as well as obviously preparing and getting ready for the season whenever they tell us to go.
And you mentioned the coaching aspect. How are you coaching currently, and has that taken a little bit of a different role now?
The thing that's cool about our organization is they've done such a great job of providing information to our minor league coaches that are very similar to the information that the major league coaches get. So transitioning into this role with the major league staff, I feel like I've been prepared in terms of the way that we do things on the minor league level that allowed me to feel comfortable moving into this role. And obviously joining Tito and the staff, the amount of knowledge and the amount of experience that they have, it's unbelievable to sit there and hear the stories and learn from them. So I think the biggest thing that I've been trying to do is take it all in and learn from them and the dynamics of the staff and how I best can assist them. And obviously the goal is to win a championship and to try and win as many games as possible. So trying to figure out, where I fit into that and how I can best help not only the coaches, but the players feel prepared when games start. So obviously with that being on hold, it's kind of given me a chance to step back. It seems like when you get to spring training, everything kind of snowballs and everything, all of a sudden the season's here before you know it. And then you just kind of go. And I think this has been a good opportunity for me to kind of feel that, but then be able to step back and kind of dive into some things that maybe I felt like I was in a good spot with, that actually I've benefited from taking some more time to dive into things and stuff like that. But being around the major league coaching staff, I mean, it's learning at all times with that experience and all the information that they have.
And before this role, how much did you have some interaction or some experience with your colleagues now on the major league staff?
Our spring training complex is connected, so everybody's there, everybody's interacting back and forth. The last 2 seasons towards the end of the year, I had a chance to spend a 3-game series in Cleveland with them in 2018. And then last year, was able to spend a series at home and then went on the road with them to Minneapolis for a week just to help out when rosters expanded, just to be another guy that can help out in the cage and things like that. So just being around there and kind of being able to soak it in, it was a great experience just to not only start to learn, but understand the dynamics of how things work at that level. So definitely feel comfortable and having interacted with them in the past. And again, that's a credit to the organization. And I think the organization understands that how much knowledge and information is on the major league staff, and they've done a good job of, whether it's a Zoom call or whether it's meetings in spring training or instructs or whatever it's been in the past, they bring those people in for us to have a chance to learn from them. So I would say that it's been a pretty good transition with that.
And when this role was presented to you of hitting analyst, how was it kind of described?
That all happened fast in the off season. My biggest thing has always been as a coach, it's about the players and it's about getting the players better. And I always felt that as a coach, if you kind of had a long-term goal of what you wanted to do, I felt then it kind of started to become about you. So I've always kind of looked at it as, we'll see where coaching takes me. If I can be where my feet are and help the players and be immersed into that, I think good things will happen. So when this opportunity came up, I definitely was exciting, but I can't necessarily say it was anything that I expected or was planning on or anything like that. So it kind of came about as I love the way that analytics and the game is going in terms of numbers, in terms of technology, how you can measure so many things in our game. I think that's awesome, but I also think the part of the game about it's about people, it's about individuals. So trying to find my niche as a person that really enjoys the analytics and the numbers, but also cares about the people and interacting and how can we communicate that information to the players and how can we find ways to utilize all the information in front of us to make the best decisions possible is something that I've enjoyed. So just through conversations with the front office and the organization, the more we kind of talk about things that I enjoy doing, things that I like, along with what they felt like there were needs, it kind of just started to move into that direction. So, hitting analyst is a pretty cool title, but I just kind of look at myself as just another guy in the clubhouse trying to help the coaching staff and trying to help the players.
And you mentioned how information and analytics are so much a part of the game. I know you talked with us last year about some of the new information that is available, but how would you compare the tools available to minor league players to the tools at the major league level?
Yeah, and I think our organization does such a great job of offering a lot of that information to our minor league coaches that I felt pretty prepared in terms of having those conversations. Obviously, the more experience the player gets and the more consistent they become as they get older and then they move up through the systems to the major leagues, the information gets just a little bit better in terms of consistency. But I would say in terms of the resources and things like that, our organization really cares about developing players. We really care about trying to make the most out of everybody in our organization. So I think as a result of that, we've dove into some of those resources and things on the minor league side that are also available on the major league side. But again, it's finding and using that information and then finding ways to get that information to the players so that they can see it. There's always that argument about new school and old school and analytics versus old school baseball and things like that. And someone once told me, I thought this was a great analogy, that you look at doctors, and when MRI machines and x-rays and all this technology came along, it didn't replace the doctor. It actually made the doctors better. So we kind of look at the technology and the information as, it's not here to replace coaching. It's a way to make the coaching better. So just embracing that and working with that, I think our organization's done a great job with that.
That was Cleveland Indians hitting analyst Justin Toole. And this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks was brought to you in part by Golden Crisp Potato Chips and Howard Hanna, both partners presenting RubberDucks broadcasts this season. We'll have more with Justin Toole right after this.
You're listening to At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO, your new home for Akron RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Here at Sarah Auto Park, community service has always been a priority of ours. These days, that spirit is more important than ever. Join us as we do everything we can to take care of our doctors, nurses, all other essential businesses, and their employees. If our community needs us for anything, even to safely get a bag of groceries to our most vulnerable, we're here. We'll get through this together. Sarah Auto Park.
This is RubberDucks broadcaster Marco LaNave. When people ask me who's the #1 pick for print and copy solutions in the Akron area, I tell them Meritech, the pride of the RubberDucks for the past 9 years. Meritech's roster also includes IT consulting, cloud voice and data services for a powerhouse lineup to reduce risk, control costs, and increase productivity. So call Team Meritech today and tell them the RubberDucks sent you. Meritech Technology to empower your business.
Exceptional care means having access to world-class physicians and services. That's the care Cleveland Clinic Akron General provides to Akron and the surrounding communities. Whether it's primary care or specialized services, we put your needs first, with care that is comprehensive and, best of all, close to home. Cleveland Clinic Akron General is committed to the community and your health. To learn more about our services close to you, visit akrongeneral.org.
KeyBank makes it easy to manage your money anytime, anywhere.
I am crushed for time.
KeyBank can help.
How? And how soon?
You have a smartphone?
I have to. It keeps me organized.
Download the KeyBank mobile app and then use your phone to deposit checks on the go, transfer money, even pay bills automatically.
Awesome.
Indeed. Learn how you can make even more financial progress when you use the Red Key, only at KeyBank. Visit key.com or your local branch. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for a great apartment with the best location? Fir Hill Towers Apartments is just a 5-minute walk to the University of Akron or a 5-minute drive downtown. You'll find spacious living, convenience, and fun with a wide variety of restaurants and entertainment just outside your door. Perfectly suited for young professionals and students on the go looking for off-campus living. Stop by 55 First Street Hill, Akron, or call 330-762-7000. That's 330-762-7000 today and reserve your apartment home.
For a lawn that looks as good as Canal Park, depend on Grassmaster. They're a locally owned and operated full-service lawn and landscape company. The development of a healthy and attractive lawn or landscape requires a great deal of time and hard work. It's Grassmaster's commitment to providing the necessary ingredients of knowledge and treatment materials to develop a healthy and attractive lawn or landscape. By choosing Grassmaster as your lawn and landscape company, you are assuring that your investment is protected and will grow in value year after year. Visit thegrassmaster.com.
Everyone at Honda wants you to be safe. And right now, you need a car you can count on and your dealer to go the extra mile. So if your Honda needs parts or service, we're right here ready to help. Working to follow all government guidelines in order to get you what you need and help you stay safe with a reliable car that's ready to go when you need it.
Visit NorthernOhioHondaDealers.com.
Your business has a story to tell. Let Fast Signs Medina help you using the right mix of visual communication solutions like signs, banners, digital displays, fleet graphics, mobile marketing, health and safety communications, and so much more. Give Fast Signs Medina your business challenge and we'll come up with a plan to grow your business, reach more customers, and accomplish more than you ever thought possible. Fast Signs Medina. More than fast, more than signs, more than ready to help you grow your business. Call today and say Go Ducks for your discount.
This is At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO.
Deep drive out to right field. Rafaela turning, watching. It's gone to the Bud Light line, Tiki Terrace.
Your new home for RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Welcome back. This is Marco LaNave, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks is brought to you in part by Stouffer's and Habitat for Humanity of Summit County, both part of our lineup presenting RubberDucks broadcasts on 640 WHLO. We now continue our conversation with Cleveland Indians hitting analyst Justin Toole. Can you think of an example where you've seen a guy, minor league or major league, that integrating that information well has really helped his success?
Yeah, I think there's been a number of different guys that have gotten better using information. And again, it's a credit to them too. You know, you can take information to a player, but it's really on the player to take that information and use it. And that's a credit to the guys that we've had in our organization. Different things like in the game, subjectively, you may think that one thing is happening. For example, you may think, hey man, I keep getting pitched inside. In reality, you look at the information says, well, majority of the time you're actually getting pitched away. Presenting that information to a player can help them adjust their approach, different things like that. I think, again, too, it's credit to the players who have invested in their careers. They want that information. They want to find ways to get better. And again, I think not only credit to the players and our organization, but the scouts that we've had that, you know, go out and find those type of kids that we get that makes coaching and my job fun. To get a bunch of kids that you got to kick out of the cage and tell them, hey, take a rest, take it easy, instead of begging them to go in there and do their work. So I think it's more of just using the information to find a way that the players best understand it. And in today's world with technology, usually they show up with a pretty good idea of technology and things like that. So as a coach, it's important for me to stay on my toes. So when those questions come, I can at least have some type of answer to hopefully give to them. And if not, then tell them, hey, I'm not quite sure. Let me dive into that. I'll get back to you.
So there's the term coach, but how do you think of yourself? Is it a teacher, a mentor, a resource? Do you have a particular word or idea that you like?
Man, that's a really good question. So my parents are teachers. So I told myself I would never be a teacher because my parents are teachers. And so I kind of am a teacher now, and not necessarily planned it that way, but I kind of like what you said about kind of being a resource, like being a person who, you know, players can bounce ideas off of. I think it's important to partner with the players. I think it's important to understand a player's point of view, what they're trying to accomplish, what they've been taught in the past, what their perceptions of reality and what they're trying to do are. Because I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, how they perceive what's going on and how they think that they're navigating a situation or they're navigating a mechanical change or an approach change or things like that. So I think kind of being a resource is probably something that I would identify with in terms of, you know, a person players can ask questions to, person that they can bounce ideas off of. And as a coach, I think that's something that's really important. So I would probably lean with resource. I don't know if I've ever thought of it that way before, but I kind of like that. Just, you know, someone that can help them maximize their potential.
Okay, we're going to turn you into a resource now. I know you have a background in psychology, and that is, I think, pretty relevant for people now, just everybody in this situation. From that perspective, what principles are you using or teaching others for just living through this situation?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I've been more than anything trying to rely on other experts in that category. So probably anything I'm about to talk about is stuff that I've heard from other people throughout this time. But obviously change and uncertainty are two things that are really tough on a person. And obviously with this change of being in Ohio and the stay-at-home stuff changed everybody's routine. And so I think that's been tough, but just the uncertainty of what's going to be next. So just a couple things that people have talked about to me over the past few weeks and things that have really helped me is just really trying to find a way to develop a routine, developing a new routine, obviously not the same as the old one, but little things like working out at the same time every day, you know, finding, you know, something that you can do every day at a certain time that you can look forward to just to kind of get your mind off things. I think that's what running has kind of been for me during this time. But again, there's no playbook for this. So I think communicating, staying in touch. That's something that's obviously really important. But again, just trying to stay optimistic and stay positive. I think that you can look at this situation as something that is tough. Obviously, with the financial stuff that's going on, with healthcare, with everything like that, I think it's tough to maybe look at that as an opportunity to learn and grow. But I think finding a way to use this time to learn something new or reach out to an old friend or something little like that, I think can go a long way during this time. So I think that's something that probably has been in the back of my head. But again, it's not anything I came up with. It's stuff I've heard from other experts throughout this time.
You talked about reaching out to other people. Between you as the coaching staff and the players, who's doing that outreach? Are the players reaching out to you, or is the coaching staff saying this is the time to meet virtually, or how does that work?
It's been kind of a combination of both. I think you'll have your kind of organized calls where you're checking in on everybody or reaching out, seeing how guys are doing, making sure everybody's healthy and well. But then you also have those kind of organic in the moment. Hey, I was in the cage. Here's a video of me swinging. What do you think? Things like that. So it's been really cool, just staying in touch with guys all over the country and guys in other countries and being able to go back home during this time and things like that. So again, a credit to our players who are hungry and always wanting to work and get better. But it's always fun when you get a message in the inbox that's a video of a guy swinging and they want to know what they can do to improve, things like that. So I'd say it's a little bit of both of the staff reaching out and the players reaching out as well.
And we can't end this without talking about RubberDucks players we saw in Akron last season when you were the hitting coach. Of those who appeared in this year's Major League Spring Training, who stood out or made strong impressions?
Two names that stood out that were with us at the beginning of the year and then moved up to Columbus, Daniel Johnson and Kai Tom were two guys that finished the year really strong in Columbus. DJ obviously getting put on the 40-man roster. So those are two guys that went out and obviously made an impression with the organization last year, but also in spring training. And then, so many other guys, I felt like if you weren't on the roster, you were a rubber duck last year when guys were in spring training. So guys like Hunter Maribel, Mitch Longo, Tyler Krieger, Nolan Jones, Wilson Garcia, Ernie Clement, the artist formerly known as Chew, Gil J. Gillajaw, who we call him Gilly now. So just looking at the position player wise, and obviously there were pitchers there too, all those guys did well. I think all those guys were really excited to come in and a lot of those guys had really good years. And if they didn't necessarily have as good a year as they would have liked, I think that they were moving in a good direction in terms of making adjustments. A lot of guys in the off season put in a ton of time, honing in on their craft and working to make adjustments and get better. So I think a lot of guys showed up ready to go. A lot of guys did some really good things. I think some people were impressed with what they were able to do down there. So obviously with it getting cut short was not ideal, but quite a few RubberDucks went down to spring training and did some good things.
Well, we're looking forward to baseball being back on the field at some point. What will you need in order to be ready for the season to start?
I think I'll just need hey, we're going to start and I'll be in a good spot. The toughest part with all this obviously is health is first and foremost the most important thing. So just, making sure that family, friends, the organization, coworkers, things like that are all in a good spot. But I think all of us are kind of itching to get going and just waiting for that phone call or that text with a definitive plan of what's going to come. But until then, trying to, maximize everything we can to feel as best prepared for when the season does actually start. So I feel like overall I'm in a good spot, probably in a better spot than I was in the middle of March when the season was about a week and a half away, just in terms of being able to dive into things and feeling a little bit more prepared with my first season, not necessarily knowing what to expect, but doing my best to kind of forecast and anticipate that. So I think things are in a good spot, just eagerly awaiting the news of what the plan is going to be.
Well, Justin, it was great news to hear that you are part of the Major League staff this year, and we in Akron are excited to see you in that Major League dugout when the season does start. Thank you so much for sharing some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and everybody stay safe. Hopefully baseball will be coming soon.
That was Cleveland Indians hitting analyst Justin Toole, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks was brought to you in part by Gardner Pie Company and Stanley Steamer, both on the team of partners presenting RubberDucks broadcasts this season. I'm Marco LaNave, and after the break, Jim Clark will talk with John McDonald, a former Akron Aero and Cleveland Indian, now working on the Indians player development staff. That comes your way right after this.
You're listening to At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO. Your new home for Akron RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy. This is At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO.
Here's the relay. The throw home will not be made. That's an inside the park home run.
Your new home for RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Welcome back. This is Jim Clark. And this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks is brought to you in part by Ambridge Hospitality, Fairfield Inn and Suites, and the Courtyard by Marriott Akron Fairlawn, all presenting RubberDucks broadcast on AM 640 WHLO. Now let's talk with John McDonald. Johnny Mack, a former Indian and Akron shortstop. And Johnny, welcome to the show. And how you doing?
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I mean, it's different without watching a baseball game on TV. I couldn't bring myself to watch the KBO last night, so I'm holding out for baseball in the States and the classic games on MLB Network.
Well, Johnny, what a great career. You know, you come out of Providence in '96, a 12th rounder. Now, you grew up in New England as well. Were you a Sox fan growing up?
I was a Yankee fan growing up. My dad was a Yankee fan. There was a lot of Yankee fans in my family. So growing up in Connecticut, we're split right down the middle. I mean, I was right in the middle of Connecticut. So about 2-hour drive to Fenway Park and a 2-hour drive to Yankee Stadium. So you got to choose who it was that you wanted to root for. And even though the Yankees weren't winning, I would say my entire time as a fan of the Yankees, they won in '96, but I started watching baseball in the early 80s, so they didn't have a whole lot of success in the 80s. The Don Mattingly era ended in 1995 without a championship, and they finally got one in '96, which I was happy about. But I was already an Indian when that happened.
What player did you latch on to as a youngster?
I liked Don Mattingly a lot. I mean, I liked his at bats. I liked the way my dad would go in and watch him take ground balls at first base, and a little earlier, Willie Randolph at second base. Dave Winfield as a big hitter, but that didn't really resonate with me all that much, watching a big hitter. But as I started to really watch baseball, actually, it ended up starting to be Robbie Alomar. He was a really good all-around baseball player. So I started watching them. I actually came across the ticket stub from the day after the strike in 1994 that I had a ticket to go to the game in Yankee Stadium. The Blue Jays coming to Yankee Stadium so I could see Robbie Alomar play. And then the strike happened. That was, I'd say, a pretty big bummer.
Were you always a middle infielder growing up?
I was. Didn't play a whole lot of outfield. Caught. I loved catching. That was during the middle of all the action. So that was a preferable place for me on the field. But a lot of second base until my arm got strong enough to be able to play shortstop, and then started playing a lot of shortstop, and that kind of stuck after a while.
You come out of Providence, a 12th round pick, and you finally get to Akron in '98. And I tell you latched on with the fans there right away. People still talk about, I remember the plays at shortstop, 2-1 ball game, outfield grass, short left field, long throws, on the money, crowds on their feet. You had really 2 good years, and really a good year and a half in Akron.
Yeah, I've actually got those back-to-back videos. I got them on tape. It's a little grainy. It was off an old VHS, but I was able to get a copy of that afterwards, and we played that thing a ton back home. And I'm glad it was still, when I burned it over to DVD, I was glad to see it still actually showed through.
Coming from the minor leagues and maybe ballparks not as good as Akron, how did it feel getting to Canal Park?
Yeah, I think Canal Park did a lot of different things. It was the first weekend series when school was out, where you came out of the dugout 15, 20 minutes before the game, and you saw how many people were in the stands. You saw people sitting out in the right field corner. You're like, wow, we're going to have a big crowd tonight. I mean, I played in Watertown, New York, played in the Carolina League, but hadn't really played in front of a home fan base that was, really looking forward to seeing, the potential future Indians. I don't know who thought that was going to be, we didn't really know who that was going to be, but to be able to play that close to Cleveland, feel like you have a chance. I think in AA you felt like you had a chance to play in Cleveland, even though the team was so good back then. The fan base was awesome. So there was just a lot of room to connect with people. I mean, I know we used to talk with the fans after the games a lot down the right field line, and they were always, I mean, they weren't quick to leave the ballpark. So it was fun getting to not just play in front of everybody, but learn a little bit more about how appreciative everybody was of the players' time and just how much they like baseball.
And back in the early days at Akron, we had a ton of morning games with 9,000 kids.
Yeah, those are crazy because it was louder, but it was a different kind of loud. It was a different pitch, and having that many kids in the stadium was great. And hearing the different ways they're engaged in learning at the ballpark, and kids having fun. But you could tell that when Akron was hitting, they were really excited. Someone gets on base. It's a different sound in the crowd from the kids when one of our guys gets a hit over one of theirs.
Now, full year in 98, 55 games in 99, and then off to Buffalo, and then the big call. Where were you when you got the call you were coming to the big leagues?
I think first, I remember spring training being told I was going back to Akron. And I got put on the roster that year in the off season on the 40-man. And going into spring training, I had a decent spring training. Felt like I was playing well, but I didn't swing the bat very well the previous year. So hit 230 that 1998 year. And then going back in 99, that was a little bit of I wasn't shocked, but it was a little bit of a wake-up call. Like, hey, you need to go. And basically the message was, you need to go hit. You need to go, I learned a lot in the Arizona Fall League. And I worked with Kevin Seitzer in the offseason, worked with Dave Keller in the offseason to apply the swing that I was learning during the winter into a full season. And knowing that, hey, you got to hit your way out of here. So it is about numbers. It's about hard contact and getting the ball through the infield, getting the ball to go down in front of the outfielders, occasionally in the gap. Make sure you get your bunts down, make sure you get the runners over. Play smart baseball, but perform. And after those 55 games, getting the opportunity to go up to Buffalo, I thought that was, wow. I couldn't really wish for anything more. Playing in AA I didn't expect to get to AA. So then going to AAA, and then 2 weeks later on a bus between Buffalo and Ottawa. We were on a bus trip up into Ottawa, and the bus driver pulled over. I think we were in Syracuse. Pulled over and said, hey, Travis Fryman just got hurt, and we're sending him to the big leagues. And pulled me off the bus, put me in a hotel in Syracuse. It was in the evening, put me in a hotel in Syracuse, and said, you got a flight out of Syracuse in the morning, make sure you're on it. I remember, just being given that information. And our trainer, Rick Jameson, was the trainer. Jeff Datz was the manager, and being able to get congratulated by your teammates because you're going to the big leagues was pretty awesome. It wasn't like late after a game when most people are left. It was 2 busloads of teammates and getting to celebrate. And I got a chance. I'm just at least going to wear a big league uniform. I don't know how long they're going to let me wear it for. They let me wear it for 21 days and they sent me back down.
Big league debut July 4th.
So Scott Service was pitching the 9th. I was not expecting to hit. I didn't know he was pitching. I didn't even know who he was. And when the top of the 9th ended, we were down by a handful of runs, and Mike Hargrove said, hey, you're hitting for Borders, and Borders is up second. So I am scrambling. I didn't know where my helmet was. I needed batting gloves. Got my batting gloves, put them on, grabbed my bat, found my helmet, and I'm not out of the dugout, and here's Pat Borders stopping me before I go up to the on-deck circle. Now, I think it was Enrique Wilson was hitting. He's hitting. I'm supposed to be on deck, and Pat Borders is saying, congratulations. And I'm trying to take this all in, and then by the time I get to the on-deck circle, the out has already been made, so I'm up. So I've got to put the donut on my bat, just get loose. I was loose and I was fired up, so I wasn't going to be unprepared for an at-bat. I remember walking up to the plate and breathing real heavy, being really nervous, didn't know anything about the pitcher, and all I told myself was, just don't swing at the first pitch. Whatever you do, do not swing at this first pitch. And he threw a ball, and it was a close pitch. The umpire called the ball, and just the relief that I had and being able to take a deep breath after that and then get ready to take a rip at the next pitch. Like he's throwing me another heater. here to just put a good swing on it. So it was an enjoyable. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was an enjoyable first experience. I think being congratulated by a former World Series MVP before you went up to hit your first big league at bat was probably the thrill of it.
That was John McDonald, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks is brought to you in part by Precious Cargo Trailways and Scene 75 Entertainment Center, all partners on RubberDucks broadcast this season. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with more from John McDonald right after this.
You're listening to At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO, your new home for Akron RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Are you looking for a great apartment with the best location? Fir Hill Towers Apartments is just a 5-minute walk to the University of Akron or a 5-minute drive downtown. You'll find spacious living, convenience, and fun with a wide variety of restaurants and entertainment just outside your door. Perfectly suited for young professionals and students on the go looking for off-campus living. Stop by 55 First Street Hill, Akron, or call 330-762-7000. That's 330-762-7000 today and reserve your apartment home.
There aren't many things in life that are easy. There's easy listening music, easy chairs, easy money. But did you know that you can enjoy all three while getting rid of your old energy-wasting refrigerator? You can schedule a pickup without moving from your easy chair. We'll haul it away and even pay you for it. So go ahead, take it easy, and let us take it from here.
First Energy's Ohio Utilities will pick up your fridge and you'll get $50. Just visit EnergySaveOhio.com to schedule a pickup. Now that's easy.
What's better than a good steak? A great steak at a great value in a fun place. Texas Roadhouse. From fall-off-the-bone ribs to made-from-scratch sides, we've got something for everybody. Great steak at a great value. Texas Roadhouse. Located at 4310 Lake Point Corporate Drive in Stowe, and now offering drive-through, carry-out, and curbside service. Visit TexasRoadhouse.AlohaOrderOnline.com or call 330-920-9844.
Bridgestone Drive Guard tires deliver a clutch performance that won't leave you stranded on the side of a rural road or a busy highway. They're engineered to take a puncture and to keep running up to 50 miles after a flat at 50 miles an hour. Plus, you'll get the smooth, quiet ride and impressive tread wear life you've come to expect from Bridgestone tires. Let the clutch performance of Bridgestone Drive Guard tires give you peace of mind. Bridgestone, proud sponsor of the Akron RubberDucks.
Here at Sarah Auto Park, community service has always been a priority of ours. These days, that spirit is more important than ever. Join us as we do everything we can to take care of our doctors, nurses, all other essential businesses, and their employees. If our community needs us for anything, even to safely get a bag of groceries to our most vulnerable, we're here. We'll get through this together. Sarah Auto Park.
No savvy traveler likes long lines or waiting around. So, lucky for you, the Akron-Canton Airport is easy and fast. With affordable on-site parking, quick check-in, and short security lines, you'll be through the airport in just minutes. CAK gives you more freedom to enjoy the things you love, like vacationing. With low fares to 11 nonstop destinations and just one stop to the world, book your next adventure from CAK.
RubberDucks fans, check out City Barbecue in Fairlawn for the best barbecue in town.
I gotta tell you, City Barbecue is the best smoked meats I've ever experienced in my life.
Literally the best beef brisket sandwich I've ever had.
Definitely the best barbecue I've ever had.
My best all-around barbecue experience ever.
Best barbecue around.
Some of the best barbecue I've personally tasted.
I highly recommend this spot for some of the best BBQ you'll ever have.
Visit citybarbecue.com or stop by 2870 West Market Street in Fairlawn.
Everyone at Honda wants you to be safe. And right now, you need a car you can count on and your dealer to go the extra mile. So if your Honda needs parts or service, we're right here ready to help. Working to follow all government guidelines in order to get you what you need and help you stay safe with a reliable car that's ready to go when you need it.
Visit NorthernOhioHondaDealers.com.
This is At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO.
Relay home, it is not in time. Two-run double by Mejia. Akron now leads at 6-2.
Your new home for RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Welcome back. This is Jim Clark, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks is brought to you in part by Suma Health and Visit Jacksonville, both presenting RubberDucks baseball this season on 640 WHLO. Now back to more with John McDonald.
You get to Cleveland, and you're known for that glove, but they got a guy already with a pretty fair shortstop in Biscale. He's in front of you.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever thought anybody was in front of me. They were better than me. I wasn't being blocked. I was there to do a specific job. I wasn't there to take anybody's job. I wasn't there to be a really good baseball player. I was there to be the player that I was. Those players were so welcoming and so giving of their time to a younger player to make sure that I had what I needed to prepare every day. They taught me things. I mean, they treated me, I felt like a younger brother to a lot of older brothers, guys trying to make sure I was doing the right things, making sure I'm enjoying myself, making sure I'm doing my work, making sure I'm learning. That whole experience, I remember my dad one time telling me, "You having fun? It's got to be really frustrating." I'm like, "No way!" So part of this thing, from my mind, is being frustrated. I get to take ground balls with Omar and Robbie every day. I get to throw to Tome, and be on a team with Kenny Lofton. I mean, this is just like, what could be better than this?
And being with those guys, you start playing more second base and third base as well. You're becoming a very well-rounded and really a valuable utility guy for the Indians.
When I hadn't done that a whole lot, so learning how to play multiple positions, taking ground balls at third base, learning some of the nuances of the feed from second base, and Robbie was teaching me a little bit more about a back-to-backhand feed to second base, so I was learning. I was learning these things and learning how to come off the bench. I think my advantage was I just wanted to play. I didn't care what inning it was, how many runs we were up or down. I just wanted to be out on the field. So, I mean, the enjoyment of trying to take a hit away from somebody when we're up 10 in the ninth, that was really high. So I didn't need to be motivated to be on the field. I wanted an at-bat when we were up or down. It didn't really matter the situation. It was, wow, I'm in the big leagues. I get to do this. I'm still here. This is amazing.
Really good year at the plate in 2002. 93 games, you bat .250. You're getting more acclimated, it seems like, year after year. Then were you shocked when you were moved to another organization?
I wasn't, because I didn't play a whole lot that year in 04. I think I had less than 100 plate appearances. We had some players that were better than me. I didn't really get an opportunity to have any long stretch of time to establish myself that year. So you look at that, you're like, yeah, I wouldn't bring me back either. If you're not going to commit, it's the American League too, because that position is used differently in the National League, or as the Indians were using that in a way that they felt like was beneficial to them, which your bench guys for a reason. They don't play a whole lot. We had younger established players that were establishing themselves as everyday players. So it, counterproductive to keep me on that club. So, I mean, I understood it. I was more excited to try to find out, where am I going? Is somebody going to pick me up? Am I going to be a free agent? Am I going to go somewhere? Am I going back to AAA somewhere? That was the uncertainty of that was the scary part.
Well, I think you find out in the game, I think, in these types of things never changes. If you're a left-handed pitcher and you're a guy that can play multiple positions and play them as well as you can play them, someone's going to grab you. Your career is going to go a long time.
Well, I didn't know that back then, and I'm trying to pass that knowledge on to people now. I mean, I think I spent a good part of my career working to pass that knowledge on to other players, that there's a roadmap to be a major league player. If we're so fixated on being an everyday player, it becomes hard to go down that road every day, because it is unforgiving. There's only 750 players in the big leagues, and the amount of position players is smaller than that. The amount of middle infielder or utility men is smaller than that. So I'm looking at trying to get one of 30 jobs, 40 jobs in the big leagues. Some National League teams take two guys that do that job. So understanding, what that job is and how to be prepared and how to be a good teammate, how to always be somebody that is ready to go in the game at a moment's notice. It became a valuable, I found, something that certain general managers valued. and they valued the conversations that go on the bench with the younger players that are sitting there. So it ended up being something that I took a lot of pride in. I wanted to be somebody that could help other players improve while also being able to go out and do a job.
Well, you played the game the right way. Over 1,000 games, 1,032, a .972 fielding percentage. That's playing not just shortstop. What was your favorite spot play? I would imagine probably short.
Yeah, short was the place I gravitated every time. I'm going to take ground balls unless I have something specific to work on that day. I'm going out to take ground balls to shortstop. I'm going to move around. I'm going to try to I had a routine that I did every day, so I loved going out and doing my routine, and that routine helped me be prepared to play every day. I put me at second, put me at third. I tried to get somebody to put me behind the dish at some point. It didn't happen. The outfield was a little bit of a different ball game, but hey, you're on the field. You know, your feet are between the white lines. It's a pretty good place to be.
What was it like coming back to Cleveland for a second run in 2013?
It was awesome because my family came with me. My wife and the kids came. They were in town for an entire homestand, fireworks on the weekends. The kids in their Indians gear. It was what I thought was going to happen after I'd been in the big leagues for a couple of years. I'm like, I'm going to be here, and this is going to be awesome. Then all of a sudden we're in other places, and then 2013 I get to spend about 2 weeks as an Indian and catching up with old friends, and I think laying more of the foundation of as to why I'm in my current job now.
As everybody knows, you're the defensive coordinator now with the Indians, and you're seeing young guys coming through, Ernie Clement, Nolan Jones, and you work with them a lot. Who else can we expect to see down the road in Akron besides the guys like Clement and Jones who we've already had?
That's a good question. I mean, I think we've got some good young players. You can go down the road for Brian Rocchio, for Tyler Freeman, is moving up through our system right now. Nolan's done a really good job of progressing. We've got some good young players that I try to keep that thought of those guys playing in the big leagues in the distant future. I think because we're all still trying to learn how to help our players grow in the right ways, how to help them understand how to continue to prepare and play the game every day. The future's bright in our farm system. There is a lot of good young talent stretching all the way down to our Dominican Academy.
Well, Johnny, thanks for taking the time. You always played the game the exact right way, and that's why you're in the big leagues for 15 years and back with the Indians organization now. You were great with my kids, I know that. They love John McDonald, and we hope to see you in Akron this summer. I really hope to see you soon in Akron. Take care, John.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, John McDonald. And thanks also to Cleveland Indians hitting analyst Justin Toole, who joined Marco LaNave earlier in tonight's show. And thanks most of all to you for listening. Join us next Sunday at 6 for another episode of At Home with the RubberDucks. We'll bring you these all season long until baseball comes back to Canal Park in downtown Akron. For Marco LaNave, I'm Jim Clark. So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to At Home with the RubberDucks. To listen to previous shows or for more RubberDucks baseball, follow the Akron RubberDucks podcast on the iHeartRadio app. For the latest on the team, go to AkronRubberDucks.com and follow the Akron RubberDucks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Akron RubberDucks baseball. Affordable family fun.